All right, peace and greetings, YouTubers. So welcome to another edition of In the News. Subscribers, I just have to say this. I know I'm at least 5 or 6 videos behind in responding to the comments that you guys have left on some of the videos in the past. And this also includes people who have left comments on the podcast and everything like that, depending on which format you listened on. I am a little bit behind. I will get to them as soon as I can. I'm telling you, my plate is just full right now. It's a lot going on in real life. Not the internet world, but in real life. I'm like, man, every time I listen to the Rufus song, Tell Me Something Good, I relate to that line where Shaka says, I'll make you wish there was 48 hours to each day. Because, man, listen, if I could just do my little 8 hours at my actual career job and then have an extra 40 to just do me before I go to work that next day, that would be wonderful. But I don't. It's just not enough hours in a day. So I'm sorry. Forgive me. And by the way, I do get to see a lot of them, and I've read most of them. I just have to actually respond now. And then, I got to also filter through all the crazy comments where I get cussed out because, I do shake the table a lot on this channel, so I'm always getting cussed out. So I got to filter through those as well. But anyway, moving on. So we've already talked about Kanye in the last video, but I do want to clear up a few things because this was triggered by some of the comments that were made on that video that I did not get a minute to respond to because there's just not enough time at the moment. I want to say this. The biggest thing I kept hearing a lot of people who disagreed with me say, they keep bringing up this notion of black people being on the plantation. They keep bringing up this whole rhetoric or the narrative of black people need to get off the plantation. And when they're talking about the plantation, usually they're referencing the fact that black people as a collective tend to be Democrats and tend to blindly be Democratic as well as that. They tend to support the Democrats, no ifs, ands, or buts. And to an extent, when they talk about being on that plantation, I can almost agree that I think we as a collective do have to be a little bit more assertive with our voting patterns and making sure that when we do vote in some of these people, we hold them to the fire, because the Democratic Party has, at this point, recognizes that we will always vote for them. So they'll get our vote and they'll campaign and they'll go to the black churches and they'll go to an Al Green concert and pretend they know the words to the songs, and they'll do all that just to get us in there because pop culture can blind anybody. And then, they're in. And then once they get in office, they don't be doing nothing. I understand that is true to an extent. However, this is not the same playing field and this is not the same discussion, because when you're talking about whatever Kanye West is going through at the moment, Kanye West is currently aligning with a white supremacist. Kanye West is currently aligning with somebody who, even if he hasn't called us all a bunch of niggas to our face, he does it each and every day by going and putting all these different people in his cabinet who pretty much have made it their effort to disenfranchise black people, to disenfranchise the working class, to disenfranchise anybody who does not fit their specific demographic. And that is problematic. So when you have somebody like a Jeff Sessions who's in play, who all of a sudden wants to criminalize marijuana again, and really pretty much criminalize it to the point where you can lock more people up for 25 years, but then in the same realm, half the country is starting to go into a position where they want to make profit from marijuana, and so nobody knows what's going on, but they do know that if they do criminalize it, the biggest demographic of people who are going to go to jail for it are black people, even though there's no real discrepancy in who's smoking weed and who isn't when it comes to race. It's pretty much balanced, but of course, in this country, black people are prosecuted at higher rates for the same crimes because crimes are reported against us at higher rates, even if it's happening at the same rate as a white person or somebody from another race. And so when you have all of that going on, those are things that you have to think about. So it's in poor taste for somebody like Kanye to align with, of all people, somebody like a Donald Trump. Because when I made my video, he hadn't even got to the Donald Trump stuff yet. Okay, that was the next day. I was like, God damn, I should have made my video today. But that's my issue. So when you're looking at Trump, and even when we talk about, if we take the racist part out, the biggest beef I have with Donald Trump is that he's not even smart. He can't even read. Everything about him is an issue. And when you look at his entire resume, this is the same man that took out a column in the New York Times when the Central Park 5 happened. If you don't know that case, that's about the case where there was a white woman who was raped and almost killed in Central Park. And 5 young teenage boys, I think ages between maybe 11 and 14, were falsely accused of raping this white woman. They weren't even on the same side of the park when it happened. Donald Trump took out a whole column about why the death penalty should be reinstated, even if it means for minors. And I'm just like, you know what I mean? Had he been in power at that time, you could have had 4 kids or 4 or 5 kids who didn't even do anything get killed and slaughtered because of Donald Trump's ignorance. Stuff like that is a problem for me. And so it's hard for me to sit here and grasp the fact that if I have a problem with somebody who is a public figure, who influences a lot of black youth, who has somewhat of a say in pop culture when it comes to the identity of black people as a collective, whether we want him to have that or not, I have a problem when that individual decides to align with some nonsense and then tell everybody else that we're in the wrong. I have an issue. It's not being on a plantation if you have something against white supremacy. It's not being on a plantation if you are a black person living in this country and you are working hard and doing everything you need to do and you just want the same opportunity and the same chance as everybody else and the peace of mind to walk down your neighborhood or drive your car without being harassed or pulled over. That is not being on a plantation. And while we're talking about the plantation, can we get to that for one quick second? Let's go back to the whole thing about the plantation. So some of us, some people are saying, yes, the plantation, the Democrats, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, I'm not a blind Democrat. I vote to what makes sense for me. So when it comes to candidates or whoever, I'm voting for, let me say this again. What I think of when I'm voting. One, I think of, okay, the good of the country, only because I still live here. And even if I want to be super, super down and radical and F the man and all that, I still need the country to be in working order, because when it's not, then the first people to suffer are black people. But I always think of the good of the country, and then I think of my own community and how that affects me, and then I think of people who are disenfranchised. Those are my three priorities when it comes to how I vote. So that's what I align with. But going to the main point, okay, if you want to talk this nonsense about the plantation, you can't tell black people that they're on a plantation because I guess a lot of them tend to vote for Democrats, but then all you did was leave the Democratic plantation and jump over to the Republican plantation. You didn't leave the plantation. You went to the plantation next door. And they probably treating you worse off than you were at the one you were at. Now they really whooping you, okay? And so when you also talk about the plantation, I think people need to also understand that when you go back to the elements of slavery, the time period when slavery existed, you had different kind of slaves. You had some people who were enslaved and didn't even know they were slaves. That's all they knew. They woke up every day and they thought their purpose was to serve and work for other people free of charge, get whooped, get abused, everything like that. You had other people who were like, hell no, this ain't how it's supposed to be. I'm getting out here every day I can. I'm ready to pop off. I'm out, you down, let's go. Then you had those ones who knew they were slaves, who knew that things weren't right, but they didn't want to shake the table. They were like, no, I'm good, because at least, I'm getting fed. I got a place to stay. I get beat a little, but it ain't too bad. As a matter of fact, they sold 2 of my 3 kids, but the 2 that they sold were the 2 that didn't listen anyway, so I'm good. I got my favorite child with me. God is good. I'm happy. As a matter of fact, I don't need y'all to be trying to sneak off tonight because y'all gonna mess it up for me, because I was told that I just might be moving into the big house tomorrow, okay? And Master's wife looked real nice, okay? Let me stop. But anyway, so y'all in this plantation mess, I don't want to hear it, especially if you're living a problematic-ass lifestyle. Don't talk to me about being on a plantation when you as an individual, everything you're already doing is problematic. I don't want to hear it. So for those who are trying to enlighten their own people and make sure that black people are cautious and aware and assertive of what's going on around them, okay, that's not being on a plantation. That's using common sense. It's not common sense to leave, I guess, the idea of the Democratic Party or the left, whatever you want to call it, and go in line with some Nazis and some white supremacists. And when you saw Charlottesville and how somehow Donald Trump was somehow able to make it seem that it was everybody's fault that people died, okay? If that's what you align with, fine. Like, my thing is this. If you want to leave and don't be a Democrat, cool. Do what you need to do. But you don't go in line with a bunch of white supremacists. You don't go in line with a bunch of people who pretty much want to see you struggle, want to see you fail, because in order for them to stay in the power that they're in, somebody has to be beneath them, and that somebody is you, okay? That is not the same as being on a plantation. That's using common sense and recognizing, like, listen, I don't want to be associated with that. So if you want to leave the plantation, don't go to another one. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, so going into this Kanye thing, what's interesting is watching a lot of the celeb reactions, because a lot of celebrities started talking that didn't need to talk. Like Chance the Rapper, who I really like, I'm like, what are you doing? Because he said, not all black people have to be Democrats. And hell, I agree. But it's kind of like people are taking this into the wrong context. The hidden agenda under all of this is the idea of racism and white supremacy. It's bigger than Democrats and Republicans, because in my opinion, both parties ain't shit, to be real honest. I don't really rock with either party, but the Democrats at least pretend to almost like my ass. Where the Republicans are like, we don't even care, and we're going to vote, and all of our policies going to just ruin your life, and we're going to be unapologetic about it, and it is what it is. So it's more so, it's just like, I need a lot of these celebrities to get together, because you had Chance saying his nonsense. Of course, Kim Kardashian is going to vouch for her man, because, she don't stand for nothing, but don't talk about her man. Now, all of a sudden, she wants to, people can have a difference of opinion. I'm like, y'all don't understand the argument. People aren't mad that Kanye West isn't a Democrat, or maybe isn't the biggest fan of Obama, even though he's been in a ton of pictures with the man. But anyway, people are frustrated with the fact that Kanye West is pretty much in a state where he is denying that there is any kind of system or any kind of policy, anything in place currently right now today that is disenfranchising groups of people. And he's in a space where he believes that all you got to do is work hard and you're there. And like I said in the last video, every time we're bringing up these issues of the white supremacy and the slavery and all that other stuff and everything that people sometimes get tired of hearing about, it's not saying that black people are not in a position to do anything anymore. It's saying that black people can do any and everything that we want to, and we're going to get there, and we're going to do whatever it is that we want to, that we set our goals to. Anything that we see and dream, we can achieve it. However, as we're on our journey, these are the hurdles that we meet. And for other people who don't walk in our same shoes and don't share our same skin, they don't face those same hurdles. And what happens is, then it becomes a comparison war where it's always like, well, how come black people haven't moved up yet? How come black people still don't have this? How come the poverty rate so high? How come the crime rate so high? How come to this? How come to that? How come to this and to that? And it's like, but did you look at the reasons and the origins of what led to the this and the that before you started judging the long-term outcome? That's all I'm saying. Now, this is supposed to be an end of news, but I went on a whole rant and got pissed off all over again. But anyway, so yeah, that's a problem. So getting into the news piece. So I think the best thing for a lot of these celebrities to do at the moment is just be quiet. Because believe me, a lot more of these celebrities are problematic, but they're smart and they haven't said anything. But yeah, Chance, I don't know what that was about. I know Kanye's your boy. You're trying to look out for him. But Chance, if you're going to jump into the argument, make sure you understand the context of what's going on. This wasn't a thing about being Democrats and being Republicans. The whole argument. That's why even when I made my video, it was before Trump even said anything about Kanye even said anything about Trump. Mine was talking about Kanye's talking about letting go of the past and slavery being the trend and some other nonsense he said. And you saw JD jumped in it, and his justification was, well, Kanye made all this money. I'm like, here y'all go again. One day y'all will understand. Money is not everything. Money does make life a little bit easier, but then you have a thing called integrity. And so the thing is, you don't want to be somebody who sells your soul for a check, because that leads me into my next topic where we get into Diamond and Silk. You know, those are the two Stump for Trump sisters, the two. Long story short, they had to go on the Hill this week, pretty much, and I guess explain why it's showing that, you know, they received money from the Trump campaign, because, you know, I guess it's illegal or some nonsense. But either way, we talked about this before, but it was interesting because they only got $1,200. Now they're saying that really they bought some plane tickets and Trump campaign just reimbursed them, and that's where the $1,200 came from. But here's my argument. I don't even care about all that. My thing is this. I've watched the two of them pretty much coon and tap and dance for the last 2 years. And my question for them is like, well, at what expense? Like, what is it that you get from doing the things that you've gone out there and done? Because people like them, I consider to be toxic. And people always say the phrase, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. I totally agree. And from what I understand, they're supposed to be trying to launch a hair business or something. But then I'm looking at them like, well, listen, clearly I'm going to need to see some new hair options or something, because they've been wearing the same two wigs for 2 years. I mean, not even like a new highlighter or a swoop or something. Like, you want to have a hair business. And then, mind you, what I find funny is the biggest consumers in the hair business are black people. But you done burned the bridge with all black people, because you done told us that we're all stupid because we don't want to support Donald Trump. But you want us to go and support your business. Okay, cool. Got it. Diamond and Silk, y'all carry on. And the funniest thing, if you got to watch the hearing, the other lady finally talked, because normally it's the lady with the black, I don't know what the little wig thing is called that y'all be wearing, where you can, it's like, I don't know, I think they glue it on or something. I don't know what it's called. I forgot what it's called. But that one, who has the big black ponytail, she's usually the one that does all the talking, and, you know, he's gonna build that wall, and Trump is the man, he's gonna do it. And, you know, it's usually her that does all the talking. This time, as soon as they found out they were under oath, and this might mean some jail time, that other one started talking. I've never heard her talk before. But anyway, so I just think you have to be careful with people you align yourselves with, especially as black people as a collective, because the thing is this. You can be a free thinker, because I think that's what Kim was saying. People can't have their own opinions, and a lot of other people are saying, you know, why is it that black people aren't allowed to be free thinkers? You can be a free thinker. Think how you want. But at the end of the day, as a collective, we are all treated the same in this country, whether we want to be or not. It doesn't matter who we are, how much we have, and what it is we do. We are still treated the same, which is why I can literally use Kanye's own lyrics against him. Okay, even if you get a binge, you're still a nigga. You know what I mean? So, and it gets me to this other point where I wanted to talk about this a few weeks ago, but I was so pissed off about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. But a few videos ago, maybe a year ago, I was doing one of these videos about the whole police brutality thing, and it either was Ferguson or Baltimore. And if you remember, there was a picture of a young man. He's maybe 11 or 12, and he's crying. And he has a sign that says free hugs. And it's this young black kid, and he's holding the sign and crying. And somehow they get the perfect shot of him hugging the police officer and everything. And when I saw that, I said in my video, something was off about that picture. That boy, because they try to push the narrative as the boy was just so distraught that everybody was fighting and arguing. He just wanted to give out hugs and give love because it's love that makes people come together. Because Common said that same nonsense where he said, if you want to get rid of racism in America, black people just needed to extend a hand and love to white people. I made a video about that nonsense too. But, and by the way, love is great. I love love. I want to be loved too. But the thing is, when you're talking about an entire corrupt judicial system and a corrupt policing system, love can't fix that. That needs to be actual policy change. So love is great, but love is the end result. We can't, love is from the heart. This country is heartless when it comes to policy, so that just gets eaten alive. But anyway, I had said that something was off, and that boy did not look like he was just distraught that people arguing. He looked terrified to me. And so it turned out, just like I said in that video, that, okay, he was adopted. He had these 2 white women who were his mother, and he also had other black siblings. And pretty much what happened is the 2 parents forced him to go over there, carry that sign, and hug the police officer, which is why he looked so distraught in the picture. And when I said my 2 cents about it, literally, the friend of the 2 women that were married came on my comment section, pretty much were like, I'm so hurt that you would say that about my friend. They're not using this as an opportunity to blah, 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 blah. They really have love in their hearts, and those kids wanted to do that, and this, that, and the third. So then when I got the news that young man is now dead, and so are his siblings, because the 2 mothers were freaking loony and crazy and drove off of a cliff and killed the whole family. Now I feel some kind of way because I saw the signs even then. And the fact that people were investigating that family for all kind of abuse and everything like that, and the little boy had left a few times and was like, listen, help me. These people are they're racist, they're this, that, and the third. And it's like, I called that crap out a year ago, and I got told that I was like a reverse racist, and that I had a cold heart and all this other stuff. And so now when I'm looking and this little boy is dead and his siblings, because the couple, they adopted like 5 or 6 black children. I was just like, my God. That really hurt my heart. I feel so bad for that little boy. Anyway, moving on. So we see that Bill Cosby has been convicted of the charges that were put forth against him. And a lot of people were asking and wondering whether or not he's going to actually go to jail. A lot of people don't think he's going to go to jail because he's a lot older, and he only got so many heartbeats left. And he's I guess he's blind now. And people are like, no, they're not going to lock him up. They're going to put him on house arrest. Nah, I don't think so. I think Bill Cosby, because this is an older, rich black man who's allegedly done these different things to a bunch of white women, they're going to make an example out of him. They're not going to let him live in the lavish multi-million-dollar mansion of his and in his last days. No, they're about to let that man sit in that cell. Yeah, I don't know. That's real interesting. To be honest, I know this sounds real out of pocket and real savage, but if I was Bill, I would just go ahead and die. Just go on and die. At this point, what's left? Your legacy's done. You have no more life left to live because you're never going to see another day of freedom again. Just call it a day. When I was little, I used to think that old people, like once they were past a certain age, they could just die by choice when they felt like it. Like they could lay down and go to sleep and choose not to wake up and then they would die. I used to really think that was how it was. Like when I was 6 or 7, I thought that's how it worked. Like just imagine, you're like 94. You got 25 grandkids, 15 great-grands, 8 great-great-grands, and 2 great-great-great-grands, and then some additional people that married into the family. And then it's Christmas, and all of them think you're supposed to be buying them Christmas presents, and you're just looking at how much it's going to cost. And mind you, like half of them grandkids and great-grands are teenagers now. They're expensive. Listen, if I had to be that 94-year-old going to Christmas shop, I ain't doing it. I ain't paying for it. Forget it. I'm good. But that's a horrible joke. But that's crazy, too. And by the way, Suge Knight, you might as well go ahead and cancel the whole trying to be blind thing because it didn't work for Bill. All right? We always like to try to act like something's wrong with us when we get caught up in something. I remember when I was little, if my teacher ever called my parents for something I did in elementary, the way that I would come home with some kind of dramatic happening that took place to try to make my parents forget about what happened. Like I would come home limping or something and, somebody, they pushed me off the slide today. I hurt my leg and my arm. And my mom was like, okay, good. Now slide your butt up into that room. I'll be up there in a minute to deal with you. Because I heard about what happened. I was just like, dang. Okay. So yeah, Bill, we'll see what happens with that. Then we got R. Kelly. I was reading that Tom Joyner has decided to pull all R. Kelly music from syndication on his radio show. And so that pretty much means, they're not going to play any more R. Kelly music. I'm wondering if that also includes any music that R. Kelly has produced. Because that pretty much means a lot of the music that is out, Tom Joyner won't be able to play, especially if it came out of the 90s. With R. Kelly, the issue I always had is that he got to skate for a long time with the things that he was accused of and the things that he was on video doing. And people kept giving him a pass because he kept making good music. You know what I mean? Like, when everything first happened with the video and the controversy, because mind you, those rumors have been circulating for years before, and then you also have the thing with him and Aaliyah being married and all that other crap. It was like everybody was super, super outraged, and then he dropped Ignition, the remix, and people were like, oh, wait a minute, I'm mad, but hey, this. And then right after that, he dropped Step in the Name of Love, so we was all on the cruise ship and the barbecues and the family reunions, just stepping in the name of love. And then it's just like, dang, it reminds me of that Boondocks episode where they're like, well, why are you supporting him? And that lady's like, cause he good. Cause he good. Just like, ooh, R. Kelly. I don't know what to do with him even. Just disappointing. He stays in the news. I'm like, listen, you already got away with the first situation. Stay out of the news. Because you see his whole team left him and everything. He's still allegedly doing all kind of crazy stuff. R. Kelly, I don't know what to do with him. So y'all figure out what to do with him. R. Kelly and Bill, they just really are trying to be them uncles right now. Those uncles. And you know what I mean when I say those uncles. You know what I mean? Side note, when I was in high school, my parents used to piss me off. I used to always be like, well, Will and Jada are my real parents, but, they wanted me to live a normal life because they didn't want me to live through the stresses of being the child of a celebrity. And Bill Cosby is my uncle. Now he's really that uncle for real. Anyway, last thing I want to talk about, God, which hurts my heart, is Nas. I hope it's not true. I don't want it to be true. Because Nas is, when I tell you Nas is my favorite rapper, he is literally the reason why I still even pay attention to rap music. Like Nas, when I heard that, Khalees was alleging that Nas had not only cheated on her, but physically abused her, like actually really bad too. I was like, are y'all sure it's Nas? Is there more than one Nas? Maybe there's a new Nas that I don't know about. I know Khalees is spiritual. You sure she's not like speaking to like Nostradamus, the philosopher from back in the day? Maybe she went to like a medium or something. You sure it's not that Nas? Wait, so it's Nas is like Nas? Second childhood Nas? One Mike Nas? Stillmatic? Illmatic? Hip-hop is dead Nas? You sure? Dang, I don't know what's going on. We going through it. Black men, we having a bad week. I need us to get it together. Chance tripping, Kanye tripping, Nas is over here beating up people, Bill Cosby finally getting held accountable for stuff, R. Kelly doing his... What is in the water, y'all? My feelings are hurt. It's not a good week for us. It's a terrible week. Man. And then when you get into the fact that Desmond Marrow had to deal with that nonsense with the police where he got tased because it was a mistaken identity, and they pretty much, in my opinion, I think the police had an issue with ego and pride where they knew they were wrong, but at this point they had already started and were like, well, we're not going to stop now. It's somebody going with us. Kind of like if you ever have the police call to your house, even if y'all settled whatever happened beforehand, they're still going to take somebody because they're like, we done drove out here at this point. We're taking one of y'all. So Desmond, go ahead and sue and get all the money that you deserve, sir. Absolutely. Speaking of police, dude, I got pulled over a few weeks ago for going like 4 miles over the speed limit. On my ticket, which I'm going to go fight, the thing says that I am 6'9", 160 pounds with brown hair. They didn't even get my information right. I just want you to know. See, this is what be happening. Half time, police don't even be doing stuff right. Don't try to write me a ticket. You don't even have my description right. I'm about to go fight that crap and not pay $68 or however much they charge me. Talk about 6'9". I don't even want to be that damn tall. I just want to be 5'11". That's all I ever asked for. Anyway, this has been a long video. This went everywhere but where I needed to be. I will do another in the news video probably later before the end of this week just to give you guys a little bit more pop culture friendly one. This one was real heavy. You know what I mean? Real heavy. Heavy indeed. Anyway, I'm out. Subscribe.